This weekend project starts down at the lumber store, and I'm going to grab some good quality pine wood. I'm going to also mark them every 2 feet. Once I get them marked, it's time to cut them on the saw. I'm going to cut 4 of these because I need to glue them together. But first, I'm going to put some wax paper down. When I place these 4 pieces down, I'm going to size them up, make sure they look good next to each other. Then I'm going to put 3 of them up because I need to put some glue on each end. But not any kind of ordinary glue. You want to use a good quality wood glue. Once I put it on, I'm going to spread it all out among 3 edges, not 4 of them. And it's okay if it drips down the edges. Once I do that, I'm going to flip them down, push them together, and make sure that they all squeeze up nice and make sure the ends are as close together as possible. Once they're together, I'm going to use a couple of clamps and I'm going to squeeze these boards together. You might get a little bit of glue that pops out, but that's okay. Just wipe it up. The next step is let it dry overnight and take the clamps off. And this is where the wax paper comes in. It doesn't stick to the table and I love it. The next step is to make 2 of these because I need a top and a bottom to my little table I'm going to make. I'm going to use a clamp to hold it down and I need to square up the ends so they have nice square edges. So I mark it and then I'm going to take a saw and just cut a little bit off each end. Once I do that, I'm going to take a bread box. That's right, a bread box that you get off your countertop. Mark the edge so I can cut around and make a nice edge circle for the bread box. And then once I do that, it's a little rough. So a little bit of 80 grit sandpaper, finish up with some 220 will make it nice and smooth on all the edges. Next is some pre-stained wood conditioner. You've got to use this and put it on so the wood stain does not blotch. I'm going to let this dry for about an hour. Next, I'm going to choose my favorite stain and I'm just going to stain each side of the board and get that done. Once I get that stain on there and let it dry for a couple hours, the next step, get some legs put on. I bought this off Amazon and it's a great little kit. This little metal piece goes in with some screws and then I can just screw on the legs and it's a wood color so it's going to match the bottom of my first shelf. Once I do that, it's time to put some more glue down. I'm going to put it exactly where the bread boxes go. Again, after I get it laid down, I want to smooth it all out so it covers as much area as possible. Very gently, I'm going to put the bread box in with a spacer to make sure I get the same space all around, and then just use some little tiny brad nails to hold it in place. The secret is the glue that's going to make it strong. The brad nails are just a few of them just to hold it while it's drying. Once I glue the top, put the top board on, and again, just a few brad nails. Once that's done, it's ready to put into place. It looks absolutely amazing because it's a bread box. The doors open up for a little hidden compartment.
The next time you're at the home improvement store, be sure to grab a couple of wooden crates. To start my project, I want to stain the wood a darker, richer color. I'm going to use some brown milk paint to paint both of the crates inside and out. This darker color really makes the crates look older and more expensive than they really were. Now that both crates are fully painted, I'm going to leave them to dry. Now to give the crates a farmhouse feel. I'm going to use a chip brush, which is a really loose brush, with some white paint to cover the crates. I don't want to cover the wood completely so that it looks worn and old. I'm going to leave the paint to dry and we'll see if I want to add more after it's done. With the paint dry, I could leave the crates as they are, but I'm going to add a little bit more white paint so that I see a little bit less of that brown. I want to still see the brown peeking through, I just wanted a little more white. My crates are ready to go now, and it's time to attach the legs to the bottom of one of the crates. Actually, what was the side of the crate. I'm going to use some reclaimed legs that I found, but you could also pick up some new ones from your home improvement store as well. I'm going to attach all 4 this way, and then I'll show you what they look like. So now that all 4 legs are attached, I want to paint the legs with the same white paint so that they blend in a little better. You could leave them as they are, but I just want them to kind of blend and not stick out so much. To make the top of my piece solid now, I've grabbed this old cutting board that I had happened to find one time, and it's just the perfect size. So I'm going to paint it the same creamy white that I painted the crates. The last thing I need to do is attach the crates to each other. You can use screws to do this, but since the wood in the slats in the crates that I have is fairly thin, I'm just going to use some wood glue to kind of tack them together. I hope this has inspired you to grab a couple of plain wooden crates and turn them into a beautiful farmhouse style bedside table. It's such a fun way to make a new piece of furniture and very inexpensive.
For today's project, we're going to start with the cardboard tube. You can also use a popcorn tin. Now, the first thing I did was start with 1/2 inch dowel. I ended up drawing a line using my square up and down right in the middle of the cardboard tube. That's going to be our starter line. That is what we're going to base this on. This is our 1-inch dowel. So the way it's going to work is what we're going to do is use hot glue and put it on the first 1/2 inch dowel. You don't have to go all the way up and down with it, but go ahead and put enough on to get it started. You're going to line up the edge of the first dowel with that line. Once you get that in, you can use this to set all the rest of your dowels. Now, I did put other lines around the tube, and that allows me to see how my progress grows. So, the pattern that I used for this project was I'm going to do 2 small 1/2 inch dowels glued on with hot glue, and then I will put a 1-inch dowel on. So again, you don't have to glue the whole thing up and down, just right on the edge where it's going to stick to the tube. Now see how I push this right up next to the dowel, move it right on over, and it's going to be straight up and down. And it's going to go right to the top. If it sticks over the top of your tube, that's fine. Now see how I got the 2 1/2 inch dowels? The next one is the 1-inch dowel. Run a bead of glue right down the middle, and then what we're going to do is just place it on there, right next to the 2 1/2 inch. Again, line it up with the bottom, press firmly, and get it into place. And we're going to do the same with the other side. Another 1-inch dowel. So now that we've got 2 1/2 inch and 1 inch, we'll then go back to 2 1/2 inch dowels on each side, and we're going to just work our way around the tube. Again, it doesn't take much glue. Hot glue is amazing. It sticks really well each and every time, and once you start going around, it gets really strong. Next we're going to do is we're going to stain this. I'm going to head and use a dark stain because it's going to match the furniture that I'm going to place this next to. Sometimes you can also use paint, or you can just put like a clear finish on it. That will look good also. Once I put this on, I use a Q-tip to get inside the cracks there, and it's going to look good. I put a tin on this just for the final top, or you can use a round piece of wood. Look how beautiful that is. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you guys again. Thank you for joining us on Home Talk.